Have you checked the microphone levels?
I have not checked the microphone levels. They look okay.
Good.
However, I need to move across because I'm just here. Hello, everyone. How's it going?
There is a ground.
Hello.
It does exist.
All right, I'm gonna.
They are there. Sure.
And then I shall pop out the chat. There we go. I'm now visible.
Pop the chat. Have it be popped.
Whoop. And that can go there. That's fine. There we go. Hello, everyone. Right, how we doing? Oh, only 20 minutes late. Yeah, sorry everyone. We were out seeing friends, and we were intending to be back in time for the show. However, the weather is horrendous, and so it was very slow going on the roads. So yes, he has a real chair.
There was approximately an rain.
Yes, it wasn't just a bit of rain. It was not some rain. It was the rain.
Yes, all of it. The entirety.
Yes.
There was muchness.
Many much.
Such wet.
Yeah. Wow. So yes, that's why we're late. But yes, anyway, how are you all doing? We're kind of sort of talking headsing today. We actually do have some topics. And also we might do other stuff. We'll see how it goes. Yes. So yes, a shop is looking good. It's certainly getting there. Thank you very much. Caradog was getting his hair boffed. How does one boff one's hair?
I don't know.
Unless you're going for the term coiffed. Is that how you pronounce it? You coif your hair?
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not coiffed. Yeah. Oh well.
I don't know. I do not hair.
No, me either. I think you might be able to tell, but I don't hair. So yes. The camera is looking all right, isn't it? So yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, we've not spent a long time setting up today. However, just by virtue of the fact that we've got a fancy camera here, it's looking pretty good. What happened to low profile Caradog? He's been upgraded to full height Caradog.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm no longer half height, half length.
Yeah, he is now micro ATX.
Oh, I was going to say I'm now full height, but still half length.
I think full height would be if you were like sort of up here, kind of thing.
I mean, this can be arranged.
Yeah, like if we just went full height bar stool and we were just slightly too high for the table we were sitting at, you know.
I feel like I'm now at a breakfast bar.
Yeah.
And just the breakfast bar is about here, and
1.5 slot.
I am now perching awkwardly.
Yeah, I don't have a footrest on my stool because it's snapped off, so my legs are just dangling in the air now.
My feet are still on the ground, only because I couldn't shuffle backwards whilst lifting the thing up, because it just kind of went. I was like, oh.
All right, I think we've done that bit now, haven't we?
Ow.
All right, so...
Ow.
Foot. Oh, okay.
The footrest to my Achilles. It was my one weakness.
Yes. Right, I will open up suggestions, because apparently there are suggestions. Oh, I've got loads of pings. Whom stuff?
Imagine being popular.
I know. It's probably people who are pinging saying, have you forgotten to go live? And it's just like, no, we were just on the road.
Oh my God, imagine if we'd been doing 20 minutes of the show, and then people pinging us like, are you going live? And we're like, but we are? Oh no!
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking... yeah, see, what would be really cool, what would be super cool is if we'd just gone live from the car, just on a mobile phone, and just been like, welcome to Two Guys Talk Tech kind of thing. But then the problem is that when we then got into the shop, we could then walk into the shop, but then we'd have to stop the stream in order to start streaming from the other thing. So, oh well. Right, anyway, let's get to some chat, shall we? So
also, does someone want to be a bro and tag me in a link to this video so I can post it in news?
What video? Oh, this video. Yes. Yeah. Can someone link the stream in the chat?
In Discord.
Oh, someone in the Discord link the thing. Is it not in news? Oh no, I've got to do it manually, haven't I?
Yeah.
Balls. Yeah. Because the Discord bot only picks up stuff from the main channel, not the second channel.
Absolutely.
So yeah, very well. And Chris, you klutz. Chris was just like, oh, check suggestions. So I'm just like, fine, I've been checking suggestions. Once again, it's Chris S. saying, 1 bottle of cider per episode. Well, you know, I'm not in the mood for it right now, but asking you shall receive. I'm just going to leave this here. That lives there now. There we go. That's just going to sit there for the rest of the show now, maybe. Until I get bored, until I've decided we've done this bit. You've got some topics.
Is it going to become Chekhov's gun?
Maybe. Although
if we talk about it, does it no longer become Chekhov's gun?
Yeah, if you draw attention to it, it doesn't count anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. It just has to just be there.
Yes, like there are no graphics card boxes in the background for this.
Yes.
Sponsored by.
That Nvidia fiasco was just. How was that a thing? You know, just like for those of you who don't remember that.
Sweaty people want to get angry.
There was a hoo-ha. When was this? A couple of years ago? 2019, 2018, something like that? It wasn't during the shortage, so it must have been before 2020. There's a big old hoo-ha over... there was a conspiracy going around that loads of channels were sponsored by Nvidia because they had Nvidia graphics card boxes in the background and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, it's biased, it's undisclosed sponsorship and stuff like that. It's just like... No, they've just got fancy graphics cards and they just want to show off that they've got fancy graphics cards.
I thought the thing that was worst was when it was it Gamers Nexus set? And like Gamers Nexus set, it was mostly like products you couldn't even buy from Nvidia anyway. Yeah,
they had loads, because the Gamers Nexus set is just loads of really random engineering samples and marketing samples and stuff like that, isn't it?
I don't know. People want something to be angry about.
Yeah, pretty much that. I think that sums it up.
Haters gonna hate.
Yes. Haters are going to hate.
Haters.
Now in RTX. Right. You looked up
those shadows.
You looked up some topics and things to talk about. Give us an topic.
Give you an topic.
Yeah.
Okay. Which topic would you like?
I don't know.
Would you like the topic about USB?
Sure. Tell me about USB, Caradog.
Okay. So, yesterday, I believe, may have been the day before, but in the past couple of days, the USB IF have come up with new logos for USB.
New logos. Okay, hold on a sec. Can you link this in the Discord somewhere? Because then I can bring it up on screen, just so the class can see.
Yes.
Because also, so then I can look at it and go like, you know. I do have Discord on this computer. Of course I do.
Have a link.
Excellent.
But yes, so there are new logos, and it is for the new 240 watt power standard.
240 watts.
Yep.
Over Type C.
Yes.
Like logos aside, 240 watts on a Type C connector.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Quite possibly, yes. However, it is a thing.
Okay, yeah. That's just it. Yeah, down such a small watt. I hesitate to say, and I'm buying time here because Discord on the computer. Let me just show you guys what I'm seeing, just because lol. Hang on a sec. I need to studio mode just to make sure I can see what is actually going to appear here. Yeah. So I just went to open Discord, and this is what I've got. So I'm just like, Discord, can you hurry up?
Discord, please. Please.
Discord. It's been a while since Discord has started on this computer. So yeah, higher voltage makes things easier. Oh,
yes.
That's true. Yeah, is it going to do it at like 40 volts or something? Or,
it's something like 48 volts.
48 volts, yeah. Oh, that would be kind of like phantom power, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I suppose, 48 volts, you're going to need half the amperage. So, yeah, that's how they're going to do it, because you've got 100 watts down there already, and at 20 volt. What's the breakdown of that? Hang on a sec. I need a calculator.
I think it's 48. Give me 100 a moment.
Divided by 20. So yeah, a 100 watt over Type C would be 5 amps. And it's just like, that's a lot, but okay, that's believable. 10 amps? What? However, if you're at 48 volts divided by 240, divided by 48,
yeah,
that would be 5 amps. So yeah, if you double the voltage up to 48, you're still only pushing 5 amps. So yeah, that would
something
indeed
like
work.
that. I can't remember exactly what it is.
Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, it's around that.
Yeah. And also, yes, pop-out chat is slightly delayed. However, it doesn't matter too much because you guys have got a delay from us anyway. But then also, it's mainly just because the pop-out chat is so much easier to read at a glance. Whereas the YouTube dashboard is stupid and like... let me... Hang on a sec. I'm going off on a tangent here. Let me just set this to normal size because we've got it... Right. This is the YouTube dashboard. So this is what we would be seeing without pop-out chat. Oh, that's gone slightly off screen. I'm not sure why. Hang on a sec. Display capture. Yeah, why is that? Hang on a sec. Just transform fit to screen. There we go. So that's what we'd be seeing. Now, bear in mind, yes, it's on a 24-inch monitor, but like Caradog is sitting, what, 1.5 meters away from that?
Yeah, something like that.
And the text is that big on the screen.
They can't see the camera.
Yeah. Oh, yes, okay.
Because you're on desktop.
Yes,
they
this
can't
is
see
true.
the camera.
Caradog...
Your hand gestures are meaningless.
Shush. Caradog is like this far away from the screen. He can't read that from back there. And
I mean, if I engage glasses.
It sucks, though.
There you go.
Yeah, but that sucks, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't look at the YouTube studio when we were streaming from home. I just watch the actual live stream on the YouTube page.
Yeah. But so yeah, we have it popped out and zoomed in order to actually be able to read the chat at a glance. Because accessibility for the YouTube stream the YouTube stream dashboard has the worst accessibility in the world. I need the chat to be big and spaced out so I can literally just go because I don't want to be looking here, I want to be looking there. So it's just, I get the feeling that the people who designed the YouTube dashboard do not stream. It's designed by software engineers that are just like, yes, all the information that we need to deliver is visible on the screen. I'm like, yes, but I don't need, like, my concurrent viewer graph takes up half the screen. I don't need it. I need it to be that big in a corner. I don't need it to be half the screen. I need the chat to be half the screen because that's what I have to read really fast while trying to talk at the same time and look at the camera.
Hello.
240 watts over Type-C, man. That's quite a lot. Let's look at
absolutely.
this. I need to sign into Discord.
Absolutely. So there is a change. So there is a certification for the USB 4.
Yeah.
For USB 4 as well to give the 40 gigabits, and also for the 240 watt cabling.
Yeah, that makes sense because you don't want to try and stuff 240 watts down a piece of crap cable.
Exactly. So there are different logos and marks and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And to use it,
the
cables actually have to be certified.
Got it. Here we go. I'm opening it. I've got it. Here we go.
That's also the
desktop view.
That's also my special enhanced edition, because the version that's supplied by the USB IF was blurred to buggery.
Fair enough.
I'm like, let's find a press pack and that will have it clean. So yes.
Discard that. Let's get us viewable in the corner. So these are the new ones then. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that looks kind of cool. You know, I don't think that looks too geeky.
And it actually looks reasonably clear.
Yeah.
And it looks like it could be reasonably understandable. So the average person could look at something and go, this says certified USB 40 gigabits per second. It is the new 40 gigabit USB.
Yeah.
Done. And then it's a case of, if you look at the far right column, it's for devices that do both USB 4 and the 240 watt.
Yes.
So then,
and it's also nice that they've actually got numbers on there. They haven't. What I like about that is that it actually says numbers. They haven't sort of written on that and been like super fast or supercharging or ultra charging, because people don't like. Because like if you said supercharging, if you said phone supercharging speed, what wattage is that?
Depends on the manufacturer.
Exactly. So that's the problem. Is what I like about this is that it actually has numbers on it, so you can look at it and you know what it's capable of. And more importantly, when other people will look at it, they will then be able to actually, they can, even if they don't like, someone might look at 240 or 40 gigabits and be like, I don't know, is that a lot? Is that small? Is that big? I don't know. But if they then see another one that says 20 and 100, they know that that's less. And that's the thing. When you use numbers like high speed, ultra high speed, supercharging and stuff like that, no one knows what that is. Whereas when you actually write numbers on it, then you know. So yeah, I really like that. Even the version, so they've got certified USB.
That's the column on the left, as it says, is the packing. So is what will actually go on the box of the product. Then the one in the middle is the one that will actually go on the port. And sorry, the two to the right are the ones that will actually go on the actual port and on the actual cable.
Yeah.
To make it clear what's going on, hopefully. So I think it's certainly a lot better than the mess that they managed to turn USB 3 into.
Yes, agreed. I like that.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that, like, am I correct in saying that USB 4 can do everything that Thunderbolt 4 can do?
No.
Fuck.
Thunderbolt 4 was open sourced by Intel.
Yeah.
And as a part of that was adopted by the USB-IF as USB 4. So everything that Thunderbolt 3 did, USB 4 does, basically.
Okay. Is Thunderbolt 4 a thing, or did I make that up?
Thunderbolt 4 is still a thing. I don't know anything about it, other than it exists.
Fine. Yeah.
And it's the new version.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, at any rate, thankfully, with USB 4 being able to do at least display output, it will probably be at the point where it will be essentially of zero consequence whether you have Thunderbolt 4. Well, it won't matter if you've got USB 4 instead of Thunderbolt. Whereas the annoying thing at the moment is that it's very frustrating that you can have a Type-C port on your laptop, but whether that can do display output or not depends on whether it's a Thunderbolt port or not, and also a million other little bit different things. Whereas what I want is for, like, even if the capability is very slightly, but I want that Type-C port where whatever you plug into it, you know, whether it's a display, whether it goes to a display port on your computer or otherwise, I want it to actually work, you know. So we can vary how much data, you know, we can vary whether it's 40 gigs or 80 gigs or whatever. But, like, again, the annoying thing is that people say, can I connect a monitor to my Type-C port? And the answer to that is maybe. And I want that to be a definitive yes. And, you know.
I guess. But that's also kind of the same as, in the same situation as, can I do 4K 120 over this HDMI cable?
Yeah, that's true.
So
although at least the HDMI cable will give you a picture, though. That's the thing. We can talk about what kind of picture you can get out of it, whether it can do top end exotic pictures, but it will give you a picture.
I think
it will give you something that works. Whether it is the best possible version of that or not is something else entirely, but it will do something.
The other point as well is possibly a part of that is that apparently most people can't tell the difference between 4K 120 and 720p 24.
Yes. Well, that's another conversation entirely, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, it's almost a case of it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if whether someone's got an HDMI, 1 cable in their 2.1 port, because they literally can't see the difference, apparently.
This is why all memes are of terrible quality and have been JPEG'd into the Stone Age. This is why social media gets away with just butchering any media that's uploaded to it, which perpetually frustrates me. Is just, like, JPEG 90 compression is pretty hard, and a casual eye, you can't spot it. And, like, whereas you upload something to Twitter, that's like JPEG 20 or something like that. And it's just like, what have you done to it? Yeah.
Although apparently within the past sort of 12 months or so, Twitter was saying about how they've changed their picture formats and stuff. The image formats and the video formats for stuff embedded and uploaded to Twitter.
That's good.
So I don't know exactly what they've changed it to or from, but
yeah,
apparently a case of it's a substantially higher quality.
yeah,
So, interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes, lossless is always going to be the best, but it is entirely possible to use lossy formats and not mangle the media. You know, like I say, you can JPEG 99 a picture, and a human will not be able to see that it's JPEG'd.
Yeah.
Yet it will be half the file size.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know. And same goes for music. I don't care how good your ears are. I don't care how good your headphones are. You know, if you put something through decent MP3, it will sound fine.
Yeah.
You know, and I say that staring into the camera, and it's just like, same with if you JPEG 99 something, I defy anyone who tells me they can see JPEG artifacts at JPEG 99. You know,
Yeah.
It will be half the file size.
Yeah, it's certainly a case that there is a lot of, well, when you're not doing anything with the image but looking at it, there's a lot of information in there that you can dump.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously,
now, don't get me wrong.
reason...
I'm not saying that we should not have lossless formats. Like if you're preserving something, or between stages, like, you know, if you're exporting and then you're going to work on something else and stuff like that, you want to keep it lossless for as long as possible, because obviously otherwise you might not be able to see JPEG 99 artifacts, but additional processing will then exacerbate them. Exacerbate them.
Yeah, exactly.
However, yeah, obviously you can compress at your final stage, but yeah, I'm not saying that lossless is stupid.
No, absolutely. But it was a case of saying, like, if you're just displaying the image, you can chuck out like 50% of the image.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
on your final output, you can drop a significant amount of it, and no human can see it. You think you can, but you can't.
The only issue or question or concern comes with that is obviously a case of, you say that about VHS, if it makes sense. You know, they say, well, literally no one can see a difference between VHS and television broadcast. And then we brought out 4K broadcasts.
Yeah.
And you can see a huge difference. So it's kind of in a sense of, there will be a difference.
Yes.
It just depends on whether it's visible now and at the scale we're viewing stuff now and stuff like that. So it's two sides. It's two sides to the conversation, but it's obviously a case of when you can do things that are basically imperceivably different and are still 10, 15, 20, 25% compressed.
Yeah.
It's kind of a case of, it seems weird to not do that. Certainly on, you know, Facebook.
Yeah.
Or...
That's fair. Yeah. I agree with that. And again, certainly in the interest of archival or preservation of data, then lossless is king. Because
but at the same time, it doesn't put quality in there that wasn't there in the first place.
Precisely.
So just because it's a lossless picture, if it's from a shitty, smeary iPhone 3 camera, it's still going to be a crappy picture.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if it's lossless. So
if you've got old film and you're scanning photo negatives or something like that, you're going to want to store them in the most obnoxious lossless format you can, because while you might not be able to see it on today's monitor, you might be able to see it in the monitor of next decade.
Yeah.
And you're not, when you get to 2030 and suddenly you can start spotting those imperfections that because you stored it lossless, you're not going to want to go back and scan all of those pictures again. So I'm making very sweeping generalizations here, which is a very dangerous thing to do. But I think
it's also the case that 90% of the stuff that you're going to upload to Twitter or to Discord
is going to get viewed on a screen that big.
Well, not that. It's very transient.
Yeah.
So having good but lossy is fine. It just needs to actually be good in the first place and not ridiculously over the top mess.
Yes. Yeah.
Also kind of a case of possibly a little bit smarter uploaders.
Yeah.
In the sense that they can it looks at it and goes, this is the resolution of the file, this is the file size, it looks like this has been well managed, I'm not going to do anything with this.
Yes.
Kind of thing. But you start getting into, difficult realms of, well then how much are they looking at the stuff you're uploading kind of thing. And
yeah, again, one of the best examples I've ever seen is the way that Telegram does it. When you're using Telegram and you drag a picture into Telegram, It gives you the option. You can either send the raw file or you can send compressed. And if you're sending a meme to someone, you hit send compressed and it will crush it down to 20 kilobytes so you can send the funny picture. Whereas if you're actually trying to share a source picture and you're like, I don't want this to be, don't mess with this, this is original quality artwork or something like that, it will upload the original file in all of its 14 megabyte glory.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it will be very slow for the person at the other end to download and see it, but they can then say, cool, I have the same file that you have. And that's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, again,
I think it was
just I'm making generalizations here, but I think the point that I've been trying to make in this conversation is that lossy formats are not the devil's work. They have their place, is what I think I'm saying. And lossy formats done right are not as bad as people think they are. Just most of the time when we're seeing lossy formats is because they're at horrendous settings.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the perfect example is the fact that you can get variable bitrate MP3s that average down to like 64 kilobit that still sound absolutely fine for the 90 percentile of usage. Yeah. And it's like, you can do all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The WebP format, I don't know much about it.
I knew nothing about it on a technical level.
Yeah, exactly. I can't. I want to acknowledge it because WebP is an interesting format. I know it's very good because people who I take seriously as very good web developers who, like, for example, I know people who write the code for image sharing websites and stuff like that, and they want to use WebP. And that tells me that it's a very good format because they want to be using it. And they would not want to use it if it wasn't good. So people I take seriously like WebP, that's basically all I know about it. So yeah.
To literally read from the opening of Wikipedia, WebP is an image format employing both lossy and lossless compression and supports animation and alpha transparency. Developed by Google, it is designed to create files that are smaller for the same quality or of higher quality for the same size than JPEG, PNG, or GIF image formats.
Yeah, because especially if you want an alpha channel, that means JPEG is out the window.
Yeah.
So if you want an alpha channel, that means you're either doing PNG or GIF. And GIF obviously is not an option because GIF is an archaic format that isn't really good for anything these days, I hesitate to suggest.
Does TIFF support transparency?
TIFF probably, but it's not animated.
No, absolutely.
Whereas PNG can be lossy or lossless, but again, animated PNG is weird, and just PNG in general is a bit of a weird format for internet use. So it doesn't surprise me that WebP is an answer for a image format that can do everything and is designed for the modern social media internet. So it's the answer to a lot of problems.
I know,
but not much.
Yeah, I know nothing about it other than I can presume that people's complaints about it are because it was made by Google.
Possibly.
And that would be people's complaints about it.
I think the other issue as well is that because it's fairly new, there's lots of stuff that can't natively open it. Like, I don't know whether that's changed, but last time I checked, Windows Picture Viewer could not open WebP. So if you downloaded a WebP, you basically had to open it in Chrome to look at it.
But then again, Windows Picture Viewer also can't open GIF.
It can in these days.
It has to open it in IE on everything other than Windows 10.
Yeah, but Windows 10 can do it though. So yeah, obviously we don't care about anything that's lower than 10.
And that's only recently, as far as I'm aware, because I know that for a long time it used to open it in Internet Explorer. Yeah, even if you had other browsers.
Yeah, for a reasonable amount of time. It's been able to do it.
Yeah.
However, the point is it can do it now. But if you can't open WebP natively, if you can't open a format natively on a modern computer right now, then that is an annoying format. It's kind of like SVG. I don't know if that's changed recently, but SVG, which is scalable vector graphics, SVGs are really heckin' annoying to open. Again, I think Chrome can open them, but again, Windows, I'm 99% certain Windows can't natively open an SVG. So if you get hold of a picture that's in vector format, again, really annoying. Like, obviously, because of its nature being a vector format, I know it's more complicated. But if you literally just want to preview it, I'm just like, is this a dog or is this a house? You know, I don't need to scale it. I don't need to print it. I just want to see what this picture is of. You know, it's very annoying to look at it.
Yeah. The apparently WebP format was announced September 2010.
Yeah. So it's been around a while, but then on the other hand, again, going from ratification to adoption is quite a long period of time. You know, there's especially when it comes to formats and stuff like that, because obviously once it gets announced, cool, okay, so it's going to be a year or so for it to then get rolled into, say, Google Chrome, maybe a year. And then after that, you've then got to account for the fact that, okay, so now Chrome supports this format, but not everyone is running the latest version of Chrome. So you still can't use it because, you know, a large percentage of your viewer base isn't running up-to-date Chrome. So therefore, you now have to wait for another couple of years.
Well, I don't know. Given that Chrome silently updates in the background.
Yeah, okay, it's better than it used to be, but then they might not be running Chrome. They might be running Firefox, and then you might have, it might be a smartass running Brave or whatever that one beginning with M is, and they're like, oh, I have automatic updates turned off because automatic updates are bad, so they're running an out of date browser that hasn't been updated in a year, you know,
Yeah, to a degree, though, you have to kind of go, well,
so at that point, even though
out-of-date software, you will have broken experiences.
Yeah, however,
that's
the problem, though. As a user, they can accept that, but if you're making a website, you want your website to be viewable by the maximum number of people, and so you don't want to use an image format that you know some people are not going to be able to view.
I think, you can do the thing that Imgur does. And whilst obviously it's not
graceful degradation,
whilst it's not great, it's obviously you can look at the what the hell's the user thing in a browser called?
Yeah, the client ID, user ID, something like that.
I've
metadata.
Forgotten what it's called.
I know what you're talking about. You can check what browser someone is running and serve the appropriate data.
The version and stuff as well. Yeah. And obviously you can serve a different version of the file to them.
Yeah.
Because I know that Imgur was doing that for a while with photos.
User agent.
There we go. Because they were serving JPEG to certain browsers and WebP to other browsers.
Yeah.
And are now solely WebP.
Yeah. That's a good way of doing it. Although, of course, one of the catches there is now you have to store your every image on your website in two different formats. And again, that might be if you're Imgur, then who cares? However, if you're a small web developer and your storage is cheap, but at the same time you're not made of money, like a really good example of this is fandom image boards that are run by fandoms. So let's say you're running an anime image board.
The fact that you have to go onto a separate image board for your images infers that there's something that means that they can't be on Imgur.
Well, it's just you want to gather everything in one place and have it all tagged and curated.
I know, but it's purely just the fact of...
Let's say you're running an anime image board, and you want everything tagged, so you're running your own website.
It just makes it sound like it's an anime image board.
Sure. So, if you've got high traffic, you're running a reasonable amount of traffic, reasonable amount of bandwidth. That website is costing X amount a day to run. You're probably running at a loss because it's a fandom thing and you're not getting paid to do it. So you're probably just running it at a loss because it's a project of passion. And at that point, if you're now paying for double the storage for all of your pictures on top of that, then, you can either pay twice the storage cost, which again is increasing your storage costs and your running costs even more, or you can say, cool, we'll convert it to JPEG on the fly on page load. Cool, now that's more server load. So now your server is more expensive to run. And again, maybe you got a big ass server that's running well below capacity, or if you're running cloud services, then you're now scaling higher. That may or may not take you into another pricing bracket. So, it's very situational, but...
Yeah, although the storage space issue is way less of an issue now, because most web servers come with like 40 or 80 or 100 gigs instantly in there, but you get like 100 megabytes of bandwidth.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a case of you'd really want a whole bunch of compression on it either way, because of the fact that the bandwidth on a lot of starter hosting plans is the restriction, not the actual storage space.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it's kind of...
Yeah.
It is what it is with that.
Yeah. Interesting. Fair enough. Right. So whizzing through a couple of things then. What's the percentage on the Merrydown? It is... Bloody hell, it's 6.8. I didn't know it was that strong. I thought Merrydown was like a 5 or a 6. Mm-hmm. It's really good though, Merrydown. This is a 750 milliliter bottle, and it's like £2.50 or something like that. This is one of my favourite ciders. It's very good.
It is cost effective.
Yes, it's a nice cider as well. It's a good medium dry. So yes, petrol in the UK is getting back under control.
I feel like it's getting under control because people have run out of places to store it.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to Caradog in the car earlier on about this, and I said, we've gotten to the point where it's kind of like with toilet roll. Eventually, everyone's cupboard is full of toilet roll. I'm just
hoping there aren't a bunch of people who are storing it in their bath.
Oh God, I like to think that we're more. I like to think that we're smarter than that in this country, but.
I mean, based on the fact of in the fuel shortages in America, there were videos of people filling up
plastic
socks.
Socks?
Yeah. There's a couple of videos.
A plastic bag, you can kind of understand the logic that you think that a plastic bag is waterproof and therefore can contain a liquid. But a sock?
So they're filling it up, and then you just see the fuel running out of it. And it's just like... Yeah. There will be people in the UK who were considering doing the same thing. I do not doubt, by any stretch.
Yeah.
I guarantee that will be a thing that someone just got.
Someone's filling up their climbing boots, and they're like, well, they're waterproof, right? So they're just filling up their boots.
Yeah.
Or their Wellingtons. Yeah. Someone must be storing petrol in Wellington boots.
Yeah. My concern when filling up was that someone was going to be like, you don't need to fill up.
Yeah, well, I think that's why we've had all the petrol stations around here have had chaperones standing around in the courtyard. I think they're mainly just there just to make sure that if anyone's getting shirty and anyone's going, oh, you cut in line kind of thing, they can just be like, just chill out. No one wants to be here. This is a crappy situation. Just chill out, please, But yeah, but as I say, though, it seems to be abating purely because I think everyone's tank is full now.
Yeah.
Everyone has filled up their cars. So no one is going out to buy more petrol because their car is full. They cannot buy any more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's what I'm certainly hoping. And also just the fact of here's a lower population density area
as well.
Yeah,
we're semi-rural around here, so it hasn't been too bad. Certainly this week when because I walk into work anyway, I live in town, so I don't drive my car daily. And certainly every time I've walked past, because I walk past a petrol station on my way in, and like... Every day, there's certainly been at least one point in the day where it looked reasonably quiet and the petrol station was open, had fuel, and there was not a queue there. So it can't be that bad. Yeah. So
yeah.
How much a gallon? US gallon, I don't know. Prices right now, I think it's $1.35 a litre is about right at the moment.
It's cheaper where I am.
Okay, yeah, like 130?
Like 130,
yeah. 130, 135 a litre. You can convert that to US gallons if you want. So, yeah.
I think that works out. It's something like £5.80 a gallon.
Yeah.
I think. I can't remember how big a gallon is.
Compared to US prices, that will seem horrifying. It's a bit high, but like we're kind of... When the pandemic started and the fuel prices tumbled... Did you see it go below £1? At one point, they were released at about like 101 or something like that.
Really? Oh no, it didn't get below about 110.
I saw them. Certainly it was down into the 10 single digits kind of thing, which is like I haven't seen fuel prices that low since I started driving in like 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
So that's super low. Then when the pandemic started. it plummeted, but petrol prices we're generally looking for somewhere between 120 and 135 kind of thing. That's that's average in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and it is a case that 60% of the price is tax.
Yeah,
I think about 60%.
Massive
of the
chunk of it is just tax. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Whereas, by comparison to the US gas price, the price of gas in the US is federally subsidized.
Oh, I see, yeah. So actually, if you took the tax off of the price of petrol in the UK, then it would probably actually be very reasonable by comparison to the US.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but just tax. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, as I say, I don't mind too much. It's just the other thing as well, of course, is that we
have
drive
smaller distances.
I was about to say we cover significantly less distances. For us, driving 10 miles down the road is a long way. So yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas in the US, they're like, I drive 10 miles to get milk. Probably. Maybe. I don't know.
To get to the end of my farm.
Yes. Right. Let's get back onto the thing. Someone mentioned earlier on about the what was the new Freedom laptop called again?
Hey? Oh, do you mean the Framework?
The Framework laptop.
You mean Framework?
Yeah. Someone mentioned that earlier on, and I just want to put. I want to just establish my stance on that again. Yeah. Framework laptop. It looks cool. As with a lot of modular things, I very rarely see a meaningful. The problem with them is that when the second generation comes out, they realize they've got to change all the connectors on it, which meant all of your modules are now useless and there was no point in it being a modular device. If they can get to the second generation without having to swap out all the modules, then I will be fully on board. So far, it's looking good. It's looking good.
I mean, they shouldn't have to swap it out because it's
Type C,
done over Type C.
Yeah, it's looking good. It looks like this might be one of the first modular devices, like a modular laptop or a modular phone, stuff like that. It might be one of the first ones which looks like it actually has some meaningful momentum behind it.
There's also Freedom Phone, which have just launched their fourth generation of phone.
Yeah. So, as I say, it's looking good. I'm not going to rush out and buy one straight away, but certainly, I watched the Linus Tech Tips video on it, and also the one where Linus said I've invested $250,000.
I think it was 250,000.
Yeah, 250,000 into it. I watched that video as well. And I watched that video, and I came out of it going, I'd like one of those laptops. That looks really nice. So I'm not going to rush out and buy one, but I like the look of it. I would like to own one. And if I dropped my laptop off the back of the counter tomorrow, I would seriously be looking at the prices of them going, for a laptop, I'd probably buy something cheaper because I don't need my laptop to do much. Yeah. But I think that's the problem. I don't think there is a low spec one. I think they're all...
Well, yeah, to a degree. My issue with them is that none of the specifications interest me.
Framework laptop.
Yeah, none of the specifications interest me at all. So it's a case of, obviously, I'm not going to buy one. Yeah. But as a device, I'm kind of like, yes, this is very good. And this is going to go somewhere, I feel.
Yeah. The DIY edition is the cheaper one, and it starts from $750. Hang on a sec, desktop capture. Yeah. So that's $750 with an i5 in it. And so, so that's going to be okay, I guess.
That's not terrible.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Although I think that's bare bones. So I think that's without storage and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Now, this is, when you're looking at new laptops, this is probably comparable to Dell XPS's, MacBook Airs, thin and lights, that kind of thing. But my problem is, my laptop is a refurbished Dell Latitude. And you can buy laptops, well, before the pandemic, when secondhand laptop prices went bonkers, you could buy a laptop like mine with a 6th generation i5 in it, which is fairly respectable for a laptop. That's fine. 6th gen i5, 250 gig SSD, 8 gigs of RAM. That's all you need an office laptop to do.
Yeah.
£350. So £350, that's what, like $450, $400, $450, something like that. Half the price of this for a laptop with comparable effective specs, you know.
For comparable efficacy.
Yeah, efficacy. Yeah, that's a good word for it. You know, if for something that you need to run the internet, you know, you want to browse the internet and you want to run Discord, you know, it's all you need. So this is one of the reasons why I, you know, it's so I really love the look of the Framework laptop, but I'm just like, I could buy something that will also fulfill my requirements for literally half the price, and it will still be a fairly nice laptop.
Yeah.
And like, it's got a 1080p screen in it that's got an IPS panel. It's a crap IPS panel, but it's still an IPS panel, which means the colors and the contrast aren't garbage, you know. So this is kind of the issue, really, is that I really like it, but I have zero interest in buying it. So it begs the question of like, what use is that, you know?
Yeah. It depends on what you're looking for from a laptop, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's the case of you are not the target market anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need my laptop to be high performance, because if I'm doing anything serious, I'm going to sit at a desktop and do it. You know, whereas if I was sitting, you know, if I was on a train for several hours a day, or I was in a mobile office environment where I actually needed a high powered device, then yeah. But also, I feel like a lot of productivity users massively overrate what they actually need their laptop to do. Because when you're sitting in front of a laptop, there's only so many things you can do at the same time, you know, as on the assumption that the vast majority of laptop users aren't hooking up additional screens. So I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but I don't understand the purpose of top-end productivity laptops. I don't understand what you're doing on your laptop that that would not be better suited to doing on a desktop, where you can have bigger screens, a big keyboard and mouse and stuff like that. But then again, I'm not the target market. So
I think it's also a case of environments where you can't have that, where you don't have the space for the screen setup and things like that.
Yeah, I suppose. So, like, I mean, I live in a shoebox flat, and I've got the space for a big desk and two 27-inch screens. But
oh yeah, no, I was thinking more a case of hotel rooms, trains.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
buses, bikes, cars.
Yeah, maybe you're in a hotel room and you've got to render something.
You know, it's a case of you're at a trade show and you need to edit and upload the video from that day.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. It's niche circumstances, but niches get filled.
Yes. Yes, no, there
are niches that for that to fill. There we go. That's what I was trying to say.
That's fair enough.
So you've got situations like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Once Windows 11 out, refurb that doesn't have 7th gen Intel will be useless. Potentially. I don't think that's going to be a massive...
in 5 years' time, sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. You know, like, I went to install Windows 11 on my laptop, and it was just like, you don't have TPM. And I'm like, oh yeah. Oh, balls. Oh, well, I guess I'm not doing that then. But that's just it. I'm like, okay, well, I guess this laptop's going to carry on running Windows 10, which is fine.
Yeah.
And also, by the time we get around to 2025... that 6th gen i5 is going to be feeling pretty tired.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to buy another laptop.
But it's also the case that it's probably not that hard to add a TPM to that laptop, given that it's a Dell Latitude.
Don't know.
It probably isn't that difficult, because obviously Dell Latitudes were also sold as business laptops.
Yeah.
So it probably isn't. It's probably an option for it.
I'm assuming it's probably just got old... I don't know, actually. It's probably got... Maybe it's got old TPM in it or something like that. I'm going to get it now and just check in the BIOS in case it's there but turned off, because the thought hadn't occurred to me.
Yeah, so it's a case that, it's entirely possible that it could just be added and have a proper setup with all the bits and bobs. So it's possible.
Yeah. I'm going to go into BIOS and see what happens. Oh, my voice is going to get cut. What happens to my voice when I start doing this and speaking while I'm constantly covering the mic with the screen?
It doesn't appear to do anything, at least according to the levels.
Maybe. It happens if I'm recording a video and I've got the mic directly in front of me and I open the laptop screen that blocks the line of sight, it murders the audio quality.
Yeah.
Nothing. Oh well. Kick his laptop, Caradog. How dare you, Thomas?
No.
Let's see. UEFI. Voice gets softer, but not noticeably quieter. Oh, there you go then. Yep. Restart. Go. Right, I'm going to look at that while I'm doing it. So yeah, you can switch menu models between TPM 1.2 and 2. There's an update you need to run. Yeah.
Yeah, there will be updates and shiz, I'm sure, for a whole bunch of modules that are technically capable of running TPM 2, but launched in 1.2.
Security. TPM 1.2 security. Yeah, it's got TPM 1.2 that is currently turned off.
Yeah, I wonder if you turn that on, what will be said.
Yeah.
Because I know that for a fresh install, obviously a whole bunch of the requirements have changed. If you're doing a fresh install as opposed to an inline update.
Yeah, and like I don't mind doing a fresh. This thing probably needs a fresh install anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So depends.
TPM is on and enabled. That's weird. I can have the TPM module switched on but disabled.
Yes.
Yeah. It's curious.
Because I'd imagine having it switched on will at the very least
mean
that it identifies. So so things scanning can see, yes, there is one, but it is not turned on.
Yeah.
I would presume. I don't know what you're planning on doing.
Well, I was just going to show people what the screen looks like in case they're curious. I was going
I can barely see it. Oh, okay.
So if I turn the brightness up. There we go.
Oh, look at that. UEFI capsule firmware updates. There are also firmware updates.
Inverted. Nope, that doesn't work. Hang on a sec.
So you have options for some stuff.
Yes. This thing probably needs a BIOS update as well. It might have a BIOS update available. Again, I have not looked.
There is a possibility that may.
Why did that not turn 180 degrees when I clicked on rotate 180 degrees? Am I even on the right thing? I apologise for all of this. This was supposed to be a quick thing and it's turning into a nightmare. There you go. So yeah, there's the TPM screen. This is probably terribly out of focus. But yeah, so TPM 1.2 security, and yes, I can turn it on and enable it. So yeah, that's the thing, I guess. And what was that about?
I just said, there's also UEFI capsule firmware updates.
Oh yeah.
Whatever a UEFI capsule firmware is.
I have no idea what UEFI capsule is. I've got no clue
this
at all.
Controls whether this system allows BIOS updates via UEFI capsule update.
Oh, that must be.
It will block update services much as Windows Update.
Yeah, this is the option where I can prevent Windows 10 from installing a BIOS update on my laptop. So yeah, that's interesting that the Dell allows me to do this because I actually had. Again, tangent, but I actually had a HP laptop in this week which was trying to install a BIOS update through Windows Update and it kept failing and causing the laptop to fall over. But annoyingly, the BIOS had no option to prevent it because obviously at that point I'm just like, right, well I want to turn that off in the BIOS because otherwise the next one might actually brick the laptop. But yeah, my Dell has the option to disable it, but that HP did not. So yeah,
your laptop was sold as an enterprise device.
This is a Latitude, yeah. This is what you're paying for when you buy a Latitude. So yeah, interesting. Yeah, all right, that's it. That's that bit done. So
you did it.
Yeah,
congrats, bravo.
Yeah. I'm going to. Have I got? No, I don't have Windows 11 downloaded on anything at the moment. I don't think. So yeah.
I mean, there's literally no point in installing it right now.
No, you're right.
You might as well wait 3 days and get the RTM version.
Yeah, I was considering just if I still had it on a flash drive, I was going to grab that flash drive just to see if it would now say you are now able to run Windows 11 on this, just to see if that actually changed anything, or whether it would say no, you're still not eligible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, clean it. Yeah, it is kind of dusty. Yeah, the camera makes it look worse. Whoop. Capsule firmware update. Yeah, that's right. There we go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh well. It seems very odd to me that Windows 11 is out in a matter of days. So yeah.
It's basically just an inline update for a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah.
It's a symbolic update. Yeah. Oh well. Well, that's the interesting thing, Jerry, is I have a lot of people, when Windows 10 started dishing out BIOS updates for laptops, loads of people were just like, that's an awful idea. Why would you do that? But touch wood, this HP that I had in this week, that's the first time I've actually seen it causing a problem.
Yeah, I mean, all of the Surface Books have done firmware updates over Windows Update since the Surface Books came out.
All of the other versions, I've seen multiple laptops in here do BIOS updates over the air like that, and I've been like sort of, it's doing a BIOS update, and it's done it, and it's fine. Sure, that was pretty slick.
Yeah.
And now we know that this laptop is running an actually up-to-date BIOS.
Yeah. So it's become way more important in the past couple of years because...
Yeah, BIOS updates actually matter at the moment.
Have become way more again. And way more important again.
Yeah.
So
Windows 11 is a marketing update. Yes and no. More or less, I think, yeah. I as a general statement, I think you can call Windows 11 a marketing update, but it's allowing Microsoft to do certain things. And for me, the bit that I'm often pointing out to people is that the purpose of Windows 11 is to cut off the bottom end of the laptop market, because it's basically an excuse for Microsoft to set new minimum requirements, which and those new minimum requirements exclude all of the really awful crap tops that have really awful specs and are sold as brand new laptops. Because the problem is that there's still loads of people out there that will go out and buy the cheapest laptop money can buy and then act surprised that it's garbage. And that people will go out, they'll spend £200 on a laptop and then be like, oh, it's really slow. Oh, it's full. And it's just like, you bought the cheapest laptop money can buy. What did you think was going to happen? But of course, it seems reasonable to say that if you buy a brand new product, it should be not awful. However, that's not how the real world works. So I think Microsoft are just taking issues into their own hands. And they're like, right, we're going to set new minimum requirements to prevent those laptops from existing. Because every new device, it's, all the OEMs are going to want Windows 11 on their devices because it's the new flagship. So now we can say, if it's running Windows 11, it won't be awful. Because the minimum requirements for 11 are high enough that it cannot be awful. That's, for me, that is the principal advantage of the release of Windows 11, is to cut off the bottom end of the market.
It gets rid of the 32 gig eMMC devices.
Yeah. And I do agree. There's going to be a load of people who stick with Windows 10, and I'm still skeptical that Windows 10 support will actually end in 2025, but we'll see. But the thing is, I think a lot of people have got their hate boner on for Windows 11 just because they're upset that they don't have TPM and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's the wrong reason to dislike it, But I think the other thing as well is that, I don't know.
I myself can't see any particular reason to hate it.
Well, I think also it has changed a lot of minor things that are bugging people. Like for me, I really hate the new start menu. I think the new start menu is awful. And I use the Windows start menu a lot. I'm one of the few people that actually uses tiles on the Windows 10 start menu. And there might be a load of people here in the chat that are just like, I use tiles on the start menu. In the general public, in the broad ownership of literally everyone else who's not the technological people like us, who are 0.1% of users kind of thing, no one uses the start menu. No one uses tiles, which is why they've gotten rid of it. However, I do use tiles, and I really hate the new start menu. And I'm really sad about that. And that's actually the main reason why I'm not running Windows 11 Preview at home, is because I really hate the new start menu. And why I'm still sitting here going, am I going to upgrade? I don't know.
The search has become faster. Again, has become another order.
I really hate searching for stuff.
And as far as I can tell, that basically fixes all of the problems anyway, because I just don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I think I might have to just go over to searching for stuff. Like, I really dislike, what did I see someone doing the other day? I mean, example, you say to someone, okay, go to settings, and they click on start and they start typing in settings, and I'm like, the settings button is literally there on the start menu. You click start and the settings button is there. Why are you typing in settings? How is that faster than just clicking the settings button? And I really despise the people who search for everything that is literally one click away, or could be one click away if they just pinned it to the start menu. However, that's the direction. That's where the meta has gone. That's clearly what everyone is doing, and that's clearly what Microsoft have now geared Windows into doing. And if search is now faster, it's like, well, I guess I'll just type in what I want now because that's faster than clicking on it, because you've now got to click through 10 times to get anywhere. And so it's like, if I end up using Windows 11, I'll change my habits. But I'm frustrated because I shouldn't have to change my habits. It's arbitrary. And this is why people hate Windows 11, because they're going to have to make small changes in their habits. And they're like, why do I need to do that? Why didn't you just make it so you could still customize the icons on the start menu? And yes, you can customize items on the start menu. You can pin things to the start. You can even reorder them. However, you can't put them in groups anymore. And half of the start menu is taken up by recent items, which is a completely useless concept to anyone who is vaguely technological. I mean, I guess it's kind of useful to the average person who wants recent items, because that's where you ask someone, where did you save that file? Oh, I saved it into recent items. That's not a location. That's a search term.
Yeah.
So recent items is a scourge upon computers. It's Apple's fault. They started it. I'm going. This is a rant, and I'm aware of that. But recent items is awful and terrible, and it trains people to not know where they're saving anything. Instead of teaching people to save their documents into documents and their pictures into pictures, and if they're looking for a document, to go to the documents folder, they said, "We'll just put in recent items, because then that'll just show all of my files." And what you're doing is you're just playing into people's ignorance instead of teaching them how to do it properly. And I think we should talk about something else.
My counterpoint to that is that all of these things will have been done as a reaction to how the 99% of people use a device.
Yeah.
So if you have a problem with that, by majority, you're wrong.
Yes. However, and I agree. I'm basically, what I'm saying is, the 99% of people, you're doing it wrong. I am the 1%, and I'm doing it right. However, and so
having recent items didn't change the fact that people's answer to "where are your documents" was Word.
Yes, that's true.
Recent items did not change that.
Yeah. Again, I don't know. I see this as the same issue as the YouTube algorithm problem. Is instead of teaching people how to do it the correct way, they just kept catering toward that ignorance. They kept trying to make it easier to not know how to use a computer.
But they have to. They literally have to, because they're not going to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
They're not going to learn how to use it, because that requires learning.
Yeah. I actually think that people know less about computers now than they did 10 years ago.
Probably.
Yeah.
Because as far as I can tell, people are actively trying to not learn.
Yeah. Like I had
about all subjects.
I had a customer in this month who had only ever used an iPad, and she was buying a laptop because she needed more capability and like a full-size keyboard and stuff like that. And she didn't know that you have to hold down the shift button to get a capital letter on a normal keyboard. Now, if you've only ever used an iPad where you press the shift button and then press the letter, well, yeah, that's what you'd know. But suddenly I was just like, oh God, she's going to have no idea what double clicking is. She's going to have no idea what right click is. She has no idea that holding down shift is a thing. She doesn't know what dragging and dropping is. She doesn't know anything about how to use a computer. And again, I don't know.
But obviously, it's different devices. It's different devices and different OSs and different ways of doing things.
Yeah. And the thing is, the solution to this is that people need to learn. However, I do agree with you, is that the counterpoint to that, which is kind of significantly more powerful, is but they won't. I mean, and they don't want to.
But my counterpoint to that is the reason you don't use Linux is because you don't want to learn how to use it.
Ooh. That's a low blow. That's a low blow.
You don't want to learn how to do the things you don't know how to do on Linux. Therefore, you don't use it. If Linux was the only option and you didn't want to learn, are you saying that that needs to be changed to suit you as the 1%, even though 99% of people know how to use it?
I see what you're saying, and you're not wrong. However, the reason why I don't learn Linux is that there's just far easier ways of doing it that are just as effective.
Absolutely. It is.
Yeah. However,
reducto ad abstradium.
Yes.
However, it is the same inverse point.
Yes, you are correct. Yeah, I'm not Linux savvy because I can't be asked.
Right.
I know just enough to blunder my way through Linux.
Right, exactly.
That's all I care about.
But Windows as an operating system and OS X as an operating system have been developed by lots of people who know how to use an operating system to make it easier for people to use an operating system.
Yes.
To know how to do stuff.
Yeah. Again,
so it's kind of a case of, I'm not saying that they are the same thing. I'm saying that they are stable mates.
Yes, this is true. I think there's a compromise in the middle between catering. If we've got a scale of who we're catering towards, and are we appealing to idiots, or are we appealing to the trained individual? So someone who knows what they're doing or someone who doesn't know what they're doing, where are we drawing the line?
Yeah.
And I feel like the line is being drawn right up near the idiot. And I think learning Linux is right down near to the trained individual. And I think the line should be closer to the middle, where I'm just like, it is reasonable to want people to learn how to use a computer, but I think Linux and again, this is a very generalized argument, because I know there's going to be people going, Linux isn't that difficult to use. You know what's easier? Windows and Mac OS.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, again, I use this analogy a lot when talking, you want to make a spaghetti bolognese. And people go, it's really easy to make a bolognese sauce. And I'm like, you know what's even easier than that? Opening a jar. People go, making sauce from scratch is so easy. And I'm like, so is opening a jar of sauce. And both will give me something that is more or less very tasty and delicious. So this is the thing, is just, my beef with Linux is not that it's difficult. If I really wanted, I could learn it. And as I say, I know most of my way around Linux purely by the fact that I'm reasonably savvy in Bash, because if you want to be a power user in macOS, you need to be reasonably Bash savvy. And if you can Bash in macOS, then you're halfway there with Linux already. And that's kind of where I am. That's why I say I can blunder my way through it. However, Linux requires a lot of additional steps that just are not there in other operating systems. And if I needed to use Linux, like for example, I mean, I'm not there anymore. Like my website is somewhere in AWS now. However, for ages I was running an ECS instance on AWS, and that was running Ubuntu. And I could install, configure, and set up Ubuntu to run Nginx. And I could configure my firewalls, configure Nginx from start to finish, get all of that set up, code my website in HTML, CSS, upload that. I can do all of that. And I did, because that was the best way to do it. I wasn't going to run Windows on my EC instance, even though I could, because running Windows as a web server is stupid. Well, I'm sure someone is going to go, ActiveX, whatever. However,
oh my god, ActiveX.
Yes.
Oh my god, can that just die already?
Yes. However, so as I say,
off.
I do know Linux when I need to.
Yeah.
But on my home computer, when I want to browse the internet and play games, I don't need Linux. I don't need a command line.
Yeah.
Windows is easier. So I'm going to run Windows. You know.
I feel like you're making an entirely different point to the point that I was trying to make. But also a case of it's giving a tool its value, using a tool in the correct environment, and knowing which tool is the correct tool.
Yes.
And knowing when you are, in fact, the tool.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
And knowing when your tool, in fact, isn't a perfect circle.
Yes. Quite so. Yes, I think we are asking lots of different questions, and we have lots of different answers, and we're kind of trying to tie the right answer to the right question here. However,
A, B, C, or D, all vote now.
Yeah, I think if we go back to my original point of idiot versus trained, and we're trying to decide at what point are we going to cater for, I think the line should be drawn further toward the trained individual, because that forces people to learn stuff that they really should know how to do. It's just, I'm trying to think of analogies, but there are some things in life which you really should learn how to do it. Like if you want to be a functional adult, you really ought to learn how to operate a washing machine. And there are some people who will continue to go down to the laundromat who will pay to get their laundry done because they're too scared of the washing machine. It's just learn how to use the washing machine. You'll save yourself a lot of trouble, And it's just like, well, if they want to continue paying for someone else to do their laundry, fine. But I think that's dumb,
I'm not sure what your point was.
Neither do I.
I don't know what your point was. I think okay, sure thing, Graham.
I think it's time for I think it's time for a new topic.
Yes, bow ties.
Bow ties.
I've no idea. You said new topic.
Bow ties are cool.
But yes, I think to try and summarise the entirety of all of that, though, or to continue some of that, is the fact of the difficulty is learning a computer. How does one learn a computer without certainly without being in the environment where you can just afford to buy one? And it is your one, so if it's broken, it's your problem and not your parents screaming at you or the school going, you broke our computers.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that, but also the case of, I feel the issue is the fact that because the time scale from because computers change so fast.
Yeah.
Because when did Windows 10 come out? 2015.
Yeah.
So even talking about Windows 10 to now is 6 years.
Yeah.
But usually, time from leaving school to being a teacher is longer than that.
Yeah.
It was maybe, say, 10 years. For you to be in a position where you're now running your own classes, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Again, I cannot speak to the state system because I was never a part of it.
Yeah.
But certainly in the educational system I went through, there was about a 10-year gap between leaving school and teachers running their own lessons.
Yeah.
So I'm now teaching people about computers from 2010.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a case of, so what was a computer in 2010? That was an 4th gen Intel.
Yeah.
That was AMD FX stuff. That was USB 3 was newfangled.
Yeah.
DVD drives were still common. So it's kind of a case of that, because they changed so quickly, all of that. But it's a case that also, a lot of the time, computer literacy in the educational system is viewed as a byproduct, almost. And the problem is the people who are supposed to be providing the teaching don't have the knowledge that they're supposed to be teaching on.
Yeah.
Because there isn't a course in teaching people computers kind of thing. So all of that, but it's kind of the case of the difficulty we've then got is we had this massive explosion of iOS and Android being the cheap devices that people can have. So, you go to someone and say, oh, I need a cheap device for watching YouTube.
Yeah.
You can buy a phone for £100.
Yeah.
That will be way better than the laptop you get for £100.
Yeah.
For the function of watching YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a case of,
Yeah.
You go, I need a device for watching YouTube, and you go, here's a £100 phone. It's a phone that came out 2 years ago that was a £300 phone. So it forces people into completely different avenues and stuff. And I feel, to a degree, kind of partially, slightly, some of this is actually an economic issue. Because people don't have the money to go out and buy a computer.
Yes, it's true.
So cheaper devices, which are iOS, Android, because old devices still function, etc., blah, 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 blah.
I think another thing that I take for granted as well, which is probably where my confusion comes in, is that like my disposition is a pressing need to learn about things. Anytime I discover something new, I want to know more about it. I want to know where it came from, why it is that way, and where it's going.
Yeah.
And that instills a natural desire to learn, to know more.
Yes.
I am Starship Troopers' desire to know more intensifies, and
you are slowly increasing in vibration.
Yes, that's right. So for me, and I think that goes hand in hand with learning about technology. I think the desire to learn about and understand computers is that I want to understand how the computer works and how we can use it for things. Whereas a lot of people are just like, I just want to watch YouTube. I don't care how it works. And at that point, you're immediately going, what do you mean you don't want to know more about how to use it, how it works, and the correct way to operate it? It's like, no, I just want to turn it on and get to YouTube. And I think that is an alien concept to me. I find it very difficult to wrap my head around that idea. And in a way, it's similar to someone like, for me, it's a similar deal with cars. You know, with a car, I'm interested in how the car works. I'm interested in how the power is delivered, the economy of it, how the mechanical nature of it works. Whereas a lot of people are just like, no, I want to push the go button and drive down the road. Don't care how it works. I don't care how fast it goes as long as it can get me to my destination in a timely fashion. And I don't care if it doesn't screech the tires when I put my foot down. I want to press the go button and go. Yeah. And again, for me, I'm just like, yeah, but how does it go? You know? And I think that's why I end up. I think this is why I find it difficult to understand people who don't want to learn about computers, because I'm like, why would you not want to know about this? And it's very reasonable to not want to know about something. It's just alien to me.
I feel like there are 2 degrees of that, though. Learning how does this work at a very fundamental level.
Yeah.
In the sense of the actual raw building blocks of how to build CPU, how that assembles up, how an OS is made, versus learning how a computer works in the sense of how to do my job more efficiently.
Yes.
And both are not wanted by some people.
Yeah. Like, I can make the argument that recent documents is the fastest way to get to the document that you were working on yesterday. It is the fastest. In Windows 11, when you click Start, you will see the document that you were working on yesterday on the Start menu. It is the fastest way to get back to what you were working on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Therefore, one could argue that the recent items on the Windows 10 on the Windows 11 Start menu is actually the most effective thing that could be there.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So
that's
I can defeat my entire conversation and argument by just that point.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
But I feel like the thing that surprises me is the basic stuff, like being able to copy.
Sorry, it's this chair that's squeaking. I'm trying to get it into a position where it doesn't squeak. Continue.
It's like people not knowing how to copy and paste. And stuff like that. Or a case of when I just go, oh, well, you can copy it from the website and paste it in the place where you need to type it.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of being... What?
Yeah.
But why would I do that? I can just type it. And I'm like, because you can copy and paste it, then you know it's not wrong. It's guaranteed to be the same data. And you don't have to type it. So it's faster.
Yeah.
You know, and just kind of that concept. And it's just like, I don't know. Different people will do different things.
Yeah.
And it kind of leads to the old adage of never ask a user how they solve their own problem.
Yeah.
Which you'll just listen to it and just kind of go,
I wish you hadn't told me that, but I'm glad you solved your problem.
Do not, stop, do not.
Yeah. Fine. Right, wrapping up, because Dave Weldon is right. This conversation has become the same conversation, so you are correct. It is time to move on. There was something else I mixed. Yeah, just a quick note. Someone said, Liam in Wales said 1 year it's let's give iPads to kids in school so they can learn computers, and a few years later it was seen as a failure. I at the time when that was a thing, I was setting up iPads in schools, and myself and my ex-boss, we were there setting up iPads to put in the trolley and everything. And I said to him, I said, what are they going to use these for? And he was like, I have no idea. And we were just, they'd just been like, iPads were all the rage then. They got to get them into schools. No idea what they were going to use them for. And so I think that was why it was a failure. They didn't know at the time what they were going to use them for. Yeah. So it's not surprising that they were a failure.
Yeah, my counterpoint to that is, again, I wasn't in that educational system.
Yeah.
There was a whole bunch of that in school, and they were using it for 3D topographical maps in geography that you could manipulate with your hand because it's a touchscreen.
That's cool.
Go, this is what relief is. This is a feature of X. And they had ideas of what they were going to use it for.
Yeah.
Because the school was sufficiently well funded to already have the old version of the technology, like actually having a projector and a working interactive whiteboard. Stuff like that. So those ideas of technology being a teaching tool were already seeded in the school.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Interesting.
So I've seen it as an outsider being used in a school. But yes, absolutely, it's kind of a case of it feels like it was just slapped in there because big and popular.
Yeah, that makes sense. Fine. Everyone wants me to open the bottle, and I'm like, I want to open the bottle as well, but I also want to save it until I get home this evening.
You're planning on drinking the entire bottle before you go home this evening. That is an concern.
It's too late in the stream to get drunk on stream now.
I was going to say that would be also just an concern.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you on your bicycle going.
Yeah. I don't actually have my bike in. I'm planning on cadging a lift off of you tonight, so I don't have to walk home. Because it was raining. I'm not going to ride my bike in the rain. I'm a fair weather rider. So if it's raining,
I'm a fair weather rider on my mountain bike.
Yeah.
That has never been off of a tarmac road.
How dare you? I have driven my bicycle in the woods, I'll have you know. On real trails, I mean, not just because I was lost or something like that, you know. I have gone mountain biking on my mountain bike on several occasions.
You just fell off of a hill and were just like, I'm in a tree.
Yes. Yeah, I wasn't in the woods because I rode there. I was in the woods just because I fell off of the path, yeah. So
I was playing Pokemon Go and I was trying to find...
I was trying to get that weather bonus that you were into this morning. Right. Anyway, I'm not going to drink all of this in one night though, so actually, hang on. Yeah, I'm going to have some.
Oh, good lord.
You need to bring up the next topic. What's that CPU thing? What's the Intel thing? We'll talk about that.
Sure. I can't remember, so I'll have to refer to my notes. You see, I actually made notes. And by made notes, I mean there are photos and pictures and things.
On account that you knew that I had nothing for today, so you're like, fine, I guess I'll get some material.
I mean, that's basically how everything actually gets done, isn't it? For the stream.
True. But then the original point of this podcast was always going to be that it was unplanned stupidity. So
yes. So Intel news.
Intel is a company.
Yes.
I'm sorry about this headlight. I know I'm terrible at pouring stuff. That's a bit too. Oh, that'll do. I'm just going to have half a pint. I'm going to save the rest. This is like a pint and a half, so I'm going to save the rest for later.
Oh god, what is this? Anyway, yes, Intel rolls out new neuromorphic chip.
Oh, there was a lot of fumes in the top of that glass, and I just went, oh.
I am now lightheaded because of a lack of oxygen. But yes, new neuromorphic chip. Right.
What is a neuromorphic chip? I'm gonna get a different chair.
I was gonna say, can we swap chairs? It is an thing. You are. You are. The Graham returns.
What is a neuromorphic chip?
It is as it sounds. Neuromorphic means right. I was getting that.
This is like that moment when you just say, you say sort of, what does the word obliviate mean? Can you use that in context? To obliviate something. That doesn't help.
No, it literally means what it is, though. Neuromorphic means its design, its morphology, because morphology means shape.
Yes.
Is of neurons.
Okay, so it simulates like neurons in a brain kind of thing.
Basically, yes. Its design, its makeup is designed to be of the design of neurons.
Mm. Okay.
Which then basically makes it a good AI accelerator.
I was going to say, that sounds very interesting for parallel tasking AI, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what it is, and it is Intel's Lossy.
This was the Hawaiian thing that you were mentioning earlier on. Yeah.
Lossy.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. And the thing that also makes it very interesting is it's on Intel's new Intel 4 process node. And it's the first thing made on Intel 4, and it has extreme UV lithography.
Cool. Does it say what kind of nanometer that is, just to put that into context with people? I know that nanometer is a kind of meaningless term, but it lets people know what is Intel's fourth process node, like where are we at here, you know?
So, I happen to have a wonderful, handy-dandy sheet.
Aha! Do you want to Discord that to me and I'll put it on screen?
Look at that. It's almost like I came prepared.
Yeah. Mario's brother, Louis. Oh, Chris, you got him. You got him. When you get this reaction, that's when you caught him off guard.
Very good.
Right. Hang on a sec.
So yes, I feel like the start to this story is the renaming of Intel's new node naming process.
Yeah.
Process for naming new nodes, even words, which happened back in July, as it says at the bottom in red.
Yeah. Okay, so currently we're on 10 nanometers super thin,
which is Intel 10 nanometer,
Yeah.
Intel 10, which was in the old nomenclature Intel 10 nanometer plus.
Yeah, but we're dropping nanometers because nanometers are stupid.
Because they don't particularly line up with anything anymore.
Yeah.
So Intel's new one is now just called Intel 7, which was previously enhanced super thin 10 nanometer.
Yeah.
Is
anything using Intel 7? Is that like 11th gen desktop processors or anything?
I don't know specifically.
Okay.
But basically, okay, so for the reason for the separation between what TSMC and Samsung are calling various process nodes and so on, and what Intel was calling process nodes, is it being a difference of how big the change was for it to constitute a new node. Because it's like TSMC's 4 nanometer and 5 nanometer are still mostly based on their 10 nanometer process.
Yeah.
They are just revisions and variations of it. So it's kind of a case of what TSMC or Samsung are calling, say, 5 nanometer or 6 nanometer. Intel would maybe call 7 nanometer, but would probably just call 10 nanometer enhanced super ultra FET edition or something.
Yes.
And it would be 10 nanometer plus or something. Which is kind of why there's been this huge discrepancy on Intel being still on 14 nanometer now and not having moved on because of the kind of the difference in what they're referring to. Whereas the actual density of the transistors between Intel 10 nanometer and TSMC 7 nanometer is very, very similar. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So yes, the actual raw density is very, very similar.
Yeah.
But yes, the naming has changed. And basically from everything from 10th gen onwards is now being is now dropping the nanometerness.
Yes.
And is going to 743 and then 20A, which is angstrom, which is the next unit of measurement down from a nanometer.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, I suppose we're coming down into the single digits of nanometer, then you've got to go down to the next the thing, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be 20A, and then the next one after 20A will be 18A.
Yeah.
And so on. So.
Yeah, okay, that's cool then. So, so going back to the going back to this new chip then.
So Luigi.
Yeah, Luigi. Yeah.
So the new Intel Luigi V2 is being made on Intel 4, and if you click on Intel 4 and zoom it in, you see there it says previously referred to as 7 nanometer, full use of EUV, which is extreme ultraviolet.
Yeah.
And then, as they said there, Meteor Lake for client tape out in Q2 2021. Tape out is a reasonably long way before consumer products.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking at for that. And yes, it was just a case that.
Well, Q2 2021. That's been and gone. So yes, we're down in that area now, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So this isn't a desktop processor then, if it's for
absolutely. It is literally just a chip.
Yeah. So is this? Are they designing this to go toe to toe with Nvidia's Nvidia's stuff? Do you reckon?
Not specifically. It's purely a case of.
It's just a thing that's for AIs and stuff like that.
AI research, and it is very solidly just in the research stage at the moment.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's purely a research thing at the moment into AI and neuromorphic computing. Because neuromorphic computing is viewed as a future of computing, in a sense, because it's good at stuff that traditional computers aren't good at.
Yeah.
Like the big questions, the complicated questions kind of thing. Because obviously computers are fabulous at adding numbers together.
Yeah.
But they're not good at...
Yeah, well, it's also a matter of
the differently worded question kind of thing.
Yeah, it's also good because we're getting to the point. Oh, balls! I've just spotted the leak in the ceiling is missing one of my trays. I need to deal with that. Random thing. I literally just leaned back and was just like, oh, balls! The ceiling is leaking. Anyway.
No, my ceiling is leaking.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I've developed a drip.
Where was I? Yes. Because of course the thing is, there's two ways of computing something. You can either compute it absolute, or you can predict what it would be. And this is the thing with modern AI and deep learning stuff, like modern AI upscaling and all of that stuff. It's not computing what it is because it doesn't have the data to do that. It's just predicting what would it be if we did this. And so the interesting thing about that is if you start off down that line, you negate the need for more powerful computers because you can just predict what the result would be and get something that's good enough. Now what I'm saying now might seem to make no sense, but when you think about it, look at mobile phones and their cameras. If you look at something like a Google Pixel, which has one of the best stills camera in a phone, and same with the iPhone. Okay,
it has the best image out. It has the best final image of any of the smartphones.
And there's that exactly is my point. It has, if you look at a Pixel or an iPhone that has an outstanding final output image, yet it's got what is actually a very mediocre sensor in it. And it's just like, how does it do that? Well, it's AI learning, which again is what we're talking about here. It is not capturing a really, really good photograph. It's capturing a mediocre photograph and using that information to predict what a really good photograph would look like. So the thing is that by going down this route of neural processing and AI and stuff like that, we are reducing the need to have more powerful computers because in the vast majority of cases, we don't need exact data. And the results are actually pretty good in a lot of instances.
Yeah, so it's also the case of it allows you to ask different questions.
Yeah.
Because obviously the question of what is the answer to this mathematical equation is what current computers are very good at. Asking a current computer what this object is, it's very bad at. It's not a question it's good at. It's not designed for. But obviously neuromorphic chips will be good at what is this object kind of thing.
And that is really, really good in the direction of a practical AI. And when I say practical AI, I mean let's imagine Jeeves from Iron Man. You know, like in Iron Man, like Siri and digital assistants are, you can give them exact questions. You can say set a reminder for 10 p.m. That's very easy to do. But if you said to Siri, what am I looking at? That's a very abstract question. Now, you know, in Iron Man, you know, you've got Tony Stark talking to Jeeves saying, like, sort of, this engine isn't running properly.
Jarvis,
that's it. Jarvis, not Jeeves. Sorry.
I was sitting
like,
there
something
going,
is wrong with what you're saying.
Like, I don't know what you're saying, but yes.
So Tony Stark is sitting there talking to Jarvis
in a cave.
Yeah. And saying, this engine doesn't sound right. And Jarvis is like sort of, the left bank is running lean kind of thing. Now, that is a practical AI because it is helping Tony Stark to diagnose what is in front of him. We're not expecting the computer to fix the engine, but the computer is providing the information that Tony Stark needs to fix the engine. This is a practical use of a digital assistant, is providing the information that the human needs to do the thing. But the problem is to do that, we need computers that can recognize contextually what the human is looking at. So again, we're now dealing with just look at capture and stuff like that. Captures are all about training computers to tell them what they're looking at.
Oh,
and so
right.
Now,
as in the "Are you a robot?"
Yeah, that's right.
Not capture as in taking a picture.
Oh yes, sorry, yeah. So "Are you a robot?" captures, you know, you're constantly it says sort of please identify all the tractors. You're training computers what tractors look like. So now we'll be able to take a phone and say, look at this, and the computer will be able to say, this is a scene of a field with a tractor in it. There are mountains in the background, and there is a person standing with a dog near the tractor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Training a computer to look at a photo and tell you what's in it, when you actually consider the enormity of what you're asking there, that's massive. That is exactly what neural processing would be doing, is asking the difficult questions.
Yeah. Yeah. As Chris S said, TechMoan did a video on there's I think it's a Microsoft app that you can get on an iPhone, and it will identify objects. It will scan the barcode, it will read the text out on the thing, and it will identify objects. And also the other thing that is quite funny is if you take pictures of people, it will attempt to take a guess of their age and kind of what they are, kind of thing. You know, in the sense of a man, a stern-looking man who is about 45.
Yeah.
And a smiling man who is about 30.
Yeah. I was going to say, the stern man who looks about 45, and it's me, and I'm just like, oh. You know?
Yes. Shows picture of Lewis Rossman. Complains instantly.
I can think of so many cruel things to say. I'm like, no. I've got a lot of respect for Rossman. Anyway. Yes. So this is a very interesting CPU that's being built, especially if it's actually being built with mice, because when we're talking about
being built with what?
I don't even know what I just said.
It sounded like you said being built with mice.
If it's being built with learning in mind, and
yes,
I think I tried to say it's being built with minds in mind.
Right.
It's supposed to emulate a human brain, and this is
a neuron in a brain.
A neuron in a brain, yeah. So here's the thing: the thing about AI and stuff like that is people often talk about computers catching up to humans and stuff like that. And the thing is, computers already calculate a bajillion times faster than a human ever could. We're already way past that point. Yet, why is the human more intelligent? And to an extent, the answer to that is the fact that the human brain doesn't have a single fast CPU. It has billions of potato CPUs that are all running at the same time. So it can consider a million things at the same time. It's one of the reasons why when you look at robotics, the Honda robot falls over when it tries to walk up the stairs, because if even a single even a single parameter is out of spec, then it will fall off balance and not be able to calculate a correction in time. Whereas a human, every time we're walking down the road, we're making 100 calculations in our brains all the time that are calculating balance and, oh, I just stepped on a stone which has put my foot at a slightly weird angle, so I've got to lean to the right slightly. And so neural networking is also going in that direction, where we can start. It's not so much that it calculates mathematical things quickly, it's a matter of the ability to calculate something that it hasn't been asked to calculate.
Yeah.
It's like you say, it's asking the difficult questions. How do I walk up the stairs?
It's also a case of it's also changing the T-net of compute, because presently we have storage and we have compute. And storage is here, compute is there. You move data from storage into compute to compute it, and then move it back into storage.
Yeah.
With neuromorphic chips, the storage and the compute are one.
Yeah.
The neuron is storage and compute.
Yes.
So there is no transport delay, there is no caching, there is no bandwidth restriction, because the device computing is the storage is the compute.
That's a very wild concept. Like, I understand what you're saying, and I literally just then when you said that, I was just like, oh yeah. And I was just like, wow, that like I hope everyone understood that bit, because that's like sort of, oof, that's quite substantial actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also the reason why the neuromorphic design is different.
Yeah.
In its processing, is because obviously the storage is there, but also a case of the things that are computed more often will have stronger linkages as a human brain.
Yes. It is a CPU that it is a processor that is going to turn into the thing that it has been tasked with calculating.
Eventually, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, theoretically.
And
until, of course, it is reset per se.
And I wonder if we'll end up with a case that will have a chip that has neuroplasticity. And I wonder if that's what it will be kind of becoming. Or if that is even the end goal, is developing the point of the chip having neuroplasticity.
So neuroplasticity, that would be the idea that it would retain the things that it has learned.
No, it's the ability to learn and to form new neurons and new connections in the brain.
Yeah,
is one's plasticity.
Yeah, because I mean, at that point now, you're talking about hypothetically I'm using the Star Trek term here. You're talking about potentially a positronic brain, because you're talking about an artificial brain at that point.
Yeah, kind of.
Potentially,
it's a case of
obviously, like the process that we're talking about here, it probably has a couple of neurons, whereas obviously a brain has billions or something like that. However, we're on the lines of something that would be an artificial brain if it were scaled up, if it could scale up.
Yeah, and also a case of the other thing you'd have, or kind of the way it gets set at the moment, is you'll have, say, 10 outputs from this chip. And what you're needing to learn is the weighting you need to apply to those outputs to get the correct answer. And that weighting of outputs is the kind of the learning part, effectively.
Yeah. Yes, that's fair. Yeah, because of course, when you're getting into high speed and on the fly calculations, waiting milliseconds or even microseconds or perhaps even nanoseconds for data to come back from storage is too long.
Well, absolutely. It has been proven by Hardware Unboxed are the Australian people who I keep forgetting the name of.
Yeah. No offense, Hardware Unboxed.
Their videos from last month, where they were showing the difference in gaming performance on a CPU.
Yeah.
With different where they took a 4-core i3, an i5 set to 4 cores, an i7 of 4 cores, and an i9 with 4 cores.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and showing the difference in the gaming performance between them, where the only difference in it was actually the amount of level 3 cache.
Ah.
And there was performance scaling with more L3 cache.
Interesting.
Which then leads into why AMD is interested in Vcache, or the 3D cache, being mounted on the 3D stacking with extra cache, which may happen at some point soon.
Yes. TM. That's a very interesting concept because
up to 96 megabytes of cache.
So a lot of people have been talking about, is 4 cores enough these days and stuff like that. I've seen those videos doing the rounds. I haven't watched any of them. However, that's a very interesting take.
Maybe other complicated.
Yeah, that's a very interesting idea that that to an extent with bigger CPUs, it's not the core count that's helping; it's the bigger cache and stuff like that. So yeah, that's
the very short answer was it's all of the above.
Yes.
The greater number of cores and threads gave more performance. The greater cache gave more performance.
Yeah.
The two combined gave more performance. Kind of thing. But it's a case of obviously when you have sufficient cores and threads to saturate the number of cores and threads required, and then you increase cache on top of that, then you're done.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Going over a couple of similar things. Mike White said Positronic predates Star Trek. Believe it was Asimov. Wouldn't surprise me because when I said I'm using the Star Trek term there, I was like, I'm not sure if this is Star Trek or iRobot, which obviously is Asimov. So yeah, wouldn't surprise me if that was Asimov.
Absolutely.
But yeah, for the record. Also, someone said, it might have been Mike White again, said that they pinged me in Discord about a learning thing. I cannot see that ping anywhere, so stick it in suggestions.
Oh, no, it was literally the output of the result. That's the output from the app. 2 people detected, 35-year-old man with brown hair wearing glasses looking neutral. 35-year-old man with brown hair looking neutral.
Oh, interesting. Oh, yeah, there you go then. Yep, well, I am literally 35. So yeah, there you go then.
So yeah,
Caradog doesn't have an age; he exists. Right, and then also someone else said, I think it was PC Bolt. Yeah, there we go. What a neural engine cores in the Apple M1 chips. I'm googling this, unless you happen to know the answer off the top of your head.
Someone tagged me in something, and the thing that tagged me is no longer in existence.
Neural engine.
I know precisely nothing about the neural engine. I presume it is fixed function hardware.
Yeah.
For int 8 or what's the other one? Thingy what's it for? FR4, which is used by AI apps, and it's an accelerator for that.
Yeah, so I have just Googled this. Bearing in mind, I'm literally just reading. I'm looking at a Mac Rumors page at the moment, and this is just literally just what I'm reading off of a Google search. But neural engine, the M1 chip has a built-in neural engine. It's a 16-core neural engine capable of 11 trillion operations per second for up to 15 times faster machine learning performance compared to the previous generation models that have moved to M1. So again, this is a very generalized thing, but it seems like the M1 chip brings up to 3.5%. No, that's different. So it sounds like the neural chip in the the neural engine within the M1 chip is essentially a discrete 16-core processor. And again, it is probably of a neural nature, because like 16 cores, you're like, that's a lot of cores. And it's like, yes, however, they're almost certainly potato cores. So they're probably very, very slow on their own. But because there's 16 of them, it can consider lots of things at the, very quickly, which allows it to go, in this picture of a tractor with a man and a dog, does this match the following things? This tractor, does it match the shape of a house? No. Does it match the shape of a cat? No. Does it match the shape of a person? No. Does it match the shape of a tractor? Yes, it is a tractor. That's effectively what the neural engine is doing.
I presume so, but
yeah,
zero
what it's going to break it down into a numbers game. It's kind of like facial recognition and stuff like that. It's not actually going, what shape is this person's face? It's breaking it down into a numerical value, like a checksum, and then seeing if the checksum is within the same boundaries. But that's what's going on here. So yeah. However, the neural engine in the M1 is a literal discrete 16-core processor, effectively. Yeah. So that's the kind of thing we're seeing there. So yes, this Intel chip is like the neural engine in an M1. However, because it's an actual potential processor in its own right, it's probably considerably bigger and faster than that is. However,
it's also a completely different type of thing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Because obviously that's still doing what is 2 + 2.
Yeah.
Add subtract operations, whereas I don't know exactly what the operations are.
Yeah, to an extent. Only in the same way that, like NVIDIA Tesla things are CPUs doing add subtract operations.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess, yeah.
But neuromorphic computing isn't doing that at all.
Okay, yeah.
That's why I'm making the distinction, because that's literally not what it's doing.
Yes, you're right, yeah.
That's why the distinction is important. Because it's literally not that.
You're correct.
It is not an add, subtract, multiply operation. It is not binary maths.
Yeah, the neural engine in the M1, it's a separate 16-core processor.
It's effectively like an ASIC.
That's right. An ASIC. That's a good way of putting it. So it's a thing that is designed to do comparisons and determine what is in the picture. However, the neuromorphic processor that Intel has made is replicating a neuron where it is not just doing lots of comparisons at high speed based on previous knowledge. It is actually learning and retaining data as a brain would. The neurons in like a memory in the human brain is when neurons take on a specific link. And in your brain, if you remember, like, this is a really
it starts getting really swicky with that.
Yeah.
Because also when you remember something, you aren't remembering something. You're remembering the last time you remembered something, remembering the time you remembered the thing, remembering the time you remembered the thing.
That's just it. But like, to use a real sledgehammer analogy, if you're trying to remember a 1 or a 0 in your brain is just linking two things together. And it's just like, so when you go to remember that, you look at that and you go, oh, I have remembered that there is a 1 kind of thing. You're remembering the memory of the 1. And again, it's really abstract and it's very difficult to explain. But again, this is what the neuron is trying to replicate. It's not trying to replicate a calculator that will just simply calculate the same thing again. It's remembering what the result was, which is a big difference. The problem is we're getting super meta for this, but that's also what makes it incredibly interesting. Absolutely. And in a way exciting, because this is a lot like trying to understand quantum computing. It is really difficult to wrap your head around the concept of a computer not thinking in binary logic.
Although quantum computers are still doing the same type of compute. They're just a different way of doing the same kind of compute.
Yes, this is true. Quantum computers are not neural computers. I say that not because quantum computing has anything to do with neural computing. Yeah. However, again, the thing about quantum computing is that it is conceptually different to how a binary computer works. In that it is looking at the entire picture at the same time instead of a procedural path through a problem. Not enough cider. You're absolutely right, Chris. Yeah. So yeah, and the issue is I'm working on the very limits of what I know about computing here as well. I'm not an expert here. I'm merely saying these things because I'm trying to introduce an idea into people of going, this is a thing that exists. And if you think this stuff that we're talking about is really interesting, you should go and listen to some people who actually know what they're talking about with regards to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah.
That was I'll see if I can find a YouTube video.
Means that Nvidia is well ahead in the AI field. Not necessarily. Again, that's the important thing here is that this neural engine is not the same as what Nvidia are doing. Nvidia are very far ahead in machine learning, but again, they're doing machine learning in terms of a reference table. So again, this is the problem, is that it's a very abstract idea. Like, if I said to you, what does a tractor look like? You're going to, if you saw a vehicle that you've never seen before, you could identify that it's a tractor because it has big gnarled wheels and it's got a big cab with big windows on it and an engine out front with smaller wheels on the front and a chimney sticking out the front or something like that. You think of a stereotypical tractor. And what you're remembering there, if I said, what does a tractor look like? You're remembering the memory of what other tractors you've seen look like. But the thing is, with a computer, you can teach it what a tractor looks like by feeding it 1 million pictures of what a tractor looks like, and it will just remember shapes and things like that. But that's not the same as how a person thinks. But that is how that's how deep learning works. Deep learning is, if you try and train a deep learning machine to drive a car around a course, it has to drive the car around the course 1 million times and keep going, what if I steered slightly right here on this corner? That didn't work. Okay, let's try going straight for a bit longer and then steer right. That worked better. Cool, let's continue down that line and then try steering left. No, we went into a wall. Go back a bit. Okay, let's try going we'll try braking a bit. And you keep banging on that door. You just keep hammering at it, brute forcing your way until you figure out the best way to get around the course. And what NVIDIA's machine deep learning stuff is doing is effectively brute forcing that problem. And I don't know, chimney out the front, that's a traction engine. Shush. Look again. What does a tractor look like?
Again. Chris.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris.
So yeah.
Just Chris.
Yeah, trial and error. Whereas the idea, so that is what NVIDIA are doing. But if you had a neural engine that, instead of brute forcing it, can say, let's say you had a neural engine that had been built to drive a car around a course, it approaches a corner and it's going to know that it has to brake. And it's going to know that because like if you're driving a car and you approach a corner, you've got to brake because that's what you do at a corner. Whereas the NVIDIA approach is like, well, let's find out what happens if we push the accelerator. Oh, we crashed. Cool, let's not do that in the future. But the neural engine already knows that it must go slower on that because it has that innate learning in it. It already knows that because it's a corner and you go slow around corners. Whereas a deep learning system, it has to actually see what happens if you accelerate at a corner first in order to know that it has to slow down. But again, this is really meta stuff that is, I don't fully understand it myself, which is why I'm having difficulty explaining.
I DM'd you a link to a YouTube interview with someone who's literally building the chips.
Okay. How long is this?
Like 30-something minutes. It was more a case of so you can link it and go, here, if you want to learn more, here is a literal interview.
Okay,
with literally people with, Kelsey someone. I've just gotten their surname.
Whoops, that's a link to the chat. That's not going to work. I copied message link, not a link. There we go. Copy link. I just tried to I tried to link everyone to a specific Discord DM. There we go.
Oh god, Scharenhorst. Scharnhorst.
Very well. Right. Well, here's a 30-minute long interview with someone who can tell you more about neuromorphic computing. So if you want to learn more about this instead of listening to me waffle on trying to understand a meta concept, then that's where you could learn more.
Yeah. So, I can't remember where she is. I think she's at Caltech. Yeah, I think she's at Caltech.
Sorry, I just saw Mr. Flunkorg's message. I'd love to see a deep learning playthrough of Deus Ex just to see what that does. What happens if I shoot this NPC in the face? Oh, that didn't work very well. Quick load, you know. So yeah. Oh, that's funnier than it should be.
It's like the AI playthroughs of was it Good Games Done Quick did the AI playthroughs?
Oh right.
Or something?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
AI eventually replacing stuff out, replacing jobs. Yeah, this is the thing.
It depends.
Yeah, computers replacing people in jobs. That's been an argument for decades. Like since the 80s, people have been worried about computers replacing their jobs. And there's two parts to that. Yeah, the computers do replace jobs, but then new jobs are created. You know, when computers replaced when calculators came in and replaced a mathematician, the mathematician's job was lost, but a new job of building the computers to do the maths was created. So you've got that aspect to it, whereas for every job that a computer takes away, a new job is created to maintain that new system. Are you chuckling at me or something you've seen?
Just the mathematician was replaced by a calculator.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
No, the job title you were looking for is a calculator.
Okay.
Was replaced by an electronic calculator.
There you go then. You know what I'm saying. So, for every job that's lost, a new job is created. But also
just waiting for the AIs to go, these pesky humans.
Yeah, that's just it. And it's a question of ultimately computers to an extent are only ever going to replace low-skilled jobs. So it means that over time we're getting to the point where people are slowly having to train for higher skilled jobs because the bar goes up. They're off, although there's always going to be low skilled jobs that always need to be done. So that's neither here nor there.
There's also the case of the robotic thing does more jobs.
Yes, this is true.
So
the electronic
it replaces more people than it creates jobs for.
That is true. However, the other problem is that this is not a solved issue, and I'm not saying the problem doesn't exist but the problem is that the real answer to this is also a very woke answer that people are not going to like, and that is the answer of if computers and robots can replace jobs, then why do we still have to work for a living? Consider that. That is kind of a bigger problem. Is that why are we still working if computers can replace humans? So yeah, so computers will replace jobs to an extent. However, the issue is that the solution to that is, instead of going, well, no, we don't want computers to do the work, is like, cool, then can we as a society get to the point where we don't have to work for a living anymore, please?
Yeah, I think
that's the real answer to that question. So yeah.
Yes, that is what's it called? Post Age of Need?
Yeah. Is that
the title of it?
If that's not an official term, post Age of Need, that certainly makes sense.
I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's post. There is an term. No, it is not forefronting. Clearly, I lack the neurons.
Yes.
Connections have not been connected.
Apparently so. But yeah. However, that's the problem. Is unfortunately the answer of will computers replace people's jobs? That leads into a much deeper discussion, but also it kind of poses a more apparent question of why is that something that we are worried about? That reveals a bigger flaw in society as we know it. But lots of people don't want to have that conversation because people don't like that idea, even though it's kind of in their interest, you know. But yeah. Anyway, why is Caradog repeatedly using "an" wrong as a running joke? Yes, when we say "an hero" and stuff like that.
Although "an hero" is correct.
Yes, he was an hero. That is an internet joke. It's the same as also, just for the record, because I haven't said it in a long time. But
post scarcity.
Post scarcity. Yes, there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah. This is why Star Trek: The Next Generation is the best TV show ever, because it encourages the idea of what if we didn't need money. But yes, what if space was the final frontier? Anyway. But yes, what was I about to say? Yes, and also when I say Sudoku, I'm saying that on purpose. I'm aware that it's actually seppuku, but Sudoku is funny because it's a deliberate mispronunciation. So yeah, anyway, now we've got that out the way.
Yes.
Caradog, download more neurons. Well, we say that, you know, if we actually get...
If we actually Deus Ex.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we actually Deus Ex, what's...
So
who's the guy who talks about the singularity?
I don't know. I've not played the Deus Ex games. You're the one who was
That's not
streaming
Deus
them.
Ex. Human singularity.
Oh.
The human singularity, as there's a chap who champions the idea of this. He wrote a book about it.
Absolutely no idea what you're on about.
Okay, so the technological singularity. This is just what we're talking about today, by the way. The technological singularity is the idea that eventually human...
No idea.
Look at the advancement of humans over history. 30,000 years ago, dawn of what could be considered the modern man.
Right.
And then there's various things up to that point. 100 years ago, Industrial Revolution.
Sure.
Then... say, well, by now, sort of 30 or 50 years ago, computer revolution.
Yeah.
10 years ago, internet. Notice how the timescales, the years between these big milestones are getting thinner, smaller, right?
Okay. Telescoping
of human achievements. They're getting quicker, it's more frequent. We get major leaps forward in civilization as we know it.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I say leaps forward, leaps. Let's say, for argument's sake, theoretically, eventually we get to the point where these technological advancements are happening within a human lifetime.
Yes.
Keep going. Several of them within a human lifetime. Eventually, theoretically, you get to the point where we have got the technological ability where as soon as we imagine something, we think, what if we did this? We could immediately do that. As soon as we think, at the moment, the advancement of mankind is restricted by our technology. Like, we know if we had infinite electricity, civilization would be better. But technology forbids that at the moment. We are limited by technology. But what if our technology was advanced to the point where as soon as we can think of something that is better, we could immediately make that? We could advance and upgrade ourselves at will. And that is the technological singularity.
Right.
Where we are no longer limited by our means, but only our imagination. As soon as we can think of something, that can be a thing that we can immediately do. That is the technological singularity. And Kurzweil, that's the chap's name. Whether it is something that can happen or not is another question. But the idea is, at that point, it would suggest the idea that we would become a post-human civilization. Because at that point, we would probably stop being humans, because there is lots of stuff about the human disposition that is stupid and should be replaced. Weakness of the human body, dying, there's lots of things which you could say, well, I don't really want to do that anymore. I don't really want to die, so let's just not die.
I mean, it was the comment. It was the comment a couple of years ago that they said that the first 200-year-old human has already been born.
Yeah, that's and the thing is, what makes the technological singularity interesting is that if we follow the prediction, and if we follow the telescoping of timescales, the idea, I don't know what the exact thing is because it's been a while since I've talked about this. But the theory is that the technological singularity is something that we could expect to happen within the next 100 years, which is not a very long time.
No,
that's our lifetime or our children's lifetime, And so that's the theory. If the technological singularity is something that would actually happen, it is something that we can expect to happen very, very soon.
Yeah.
And that means that we might be living in the most exciting point of human history. That is why the technological singularity is an interesting concept. Whether it will happen or not is another discussion. I don't know. I'm not saying it is going to happen. But when you look at it, you're just like, that's an idea kind of thing.
It feels like a point where you get to a point where an awful lot of people get left behind.
Yes.
I'm not saying it will get left behind.
It will not be without problems, and that's in a way that's why the Deus Ex games are interesting, because that's the questions that they're asking. Is that when you look at this, you create even today we have the digital divide, where people who have computers and have the internet are practically living in another world to those who do not have computers or internet. Augmentation of the human body would create an entirely new divide. Dave, well done. Well done. The Spice Girls have indeed already happened. So yeah. So
that was a surreal counterpoint.
Quite so.
But yes. I have no idea what my point was going to be.
Yeah.
Specifically after that, but yes.
These things would certainly not be without their problems, though. But again, that's why these stories are very interesting. Like Isaac Asimov. This is why Asimov's writing was very interesting. And lots of people go, "Oh, the 3 laws of robotics, they're perfect." It's like, no, they're not. And Asimov knew they weren't perfect. That was the point. Asimov wrote 3 laws and then spent the rest of his career explaining why they don't work. And all of his books are about specific instances where the 3 laws of robotics do not work. The Asimov series are literally about ways in which you can break the 3 laws of robotics. So, yeah. And you'll get the same thing, human augmentation sounds like an amazing idea, but there are many, many stories out there, like the Deus Ex series, that can show instances of how that can be problematic and the kind of problems that it can bring in. And how at the moment we're kind of stuck in a middle ground of compromise where they're, going to one extreme or the other doesn't make sense. In the Deus Ex series, there are people that are just like, human augmentation is wrong and immoral. And it's like, cool, so I take it you're not going to wear glasses when your eyes go, because our glass is not augmentation, And now, obviously, I'm deliberate, reducto ad abstradium. But yeah.
But yeah, it's like yeah. It's very much a case of obviously hard extremes on both ends of any scale are ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I was saying it leads. I'm surprised in a way, and I don't know if it does because I've not seen it, but I've not heard it, that the Deus Ex games don't have any body horror in.
Yes and no. Watch me play the Deus Ex Human Revolution finale on Sunday.
I thought you were playing that 2 weeks ago.
I have not finished it yet. Human Revolution. I'm finishing it tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You told me this 2 weeks ago. Watch me play the finale tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hence my confusion.
Yeah, maybe I thought I was going to finish it a little bit. So I'm finishing Deus Ex Human Revolution on Twitch tomorrow.
Okay.
And it's not that much body horror, but it is an example of, it is the end game of an augmented civilization where something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. Obviously it's not full body horror, but it's certainly got, we've already seen some hints of it in the game, where it was the idea of involuntary augmentation,
absolutely,
and stuff like that, where forceful augmentation where the person did not consent to it. And the game has also been hinting at that throughout, where it talks about augmentation where, like, someone, they get, they lose their arm in an accident, they get an augmented arm, and in Deus Ex, in order to have the neural interface, so you can have a robot arm that is as natural as a real arm is, you have to take in order to stave off rejection, the bodily rejection of the augmentation, you have to take a drug called neuropazine. And there's already an issue of people who were forced to get augmented because of an accident, but now can't afford neuropazine, and now suffer from neuropazine withdrawal and augmentation rejection and stuff like that. So there's all ideas of that coming in.
My involvement with it is with XCOM Enemy Within.
I have not played any of the XCOM games. So
really? I thought you played the first one.
No, I have seen them. I know what they're about, but I've never played XCOM.
Really?
Which is weird, because I heckin' love Final Fantasy Tactics, which is basically Final Fantasy XCOM.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, XCOM is sci-fi Final Fantasy Tactics. I'll link it in chat, people. But yeah, continue. XCOM Enemy Within.
It's the expansion for the first game.
Okay, yeah.
And part of what it adds in is augments. But to do the augments, the person who is augmented has to have all their limbs cut off.
Yeah.
So I played through the game and went, nope, I'm having no augmented people at all.
Yeah.
Because that is uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just like,
Deus Ex didn't go to that extreme. Well, to an extent, although Adam Jensen himself... I
didn't ask for this.
Yeah, literally. Well, that's the thing, is they don't put a lot of focus on it in the game. But the thing is, at the start of Deus Ex Human Revolution, the main character that you play as, Adam Jensen, he's in a big old military accident. The place where he is the security chief is infiltrated by mercenaries, and he gets busted up pretty heckin' bad. And that's the thing, when they augment him to save his life, but the result is he's definitely more machine than person at this point. All of his limbs are robotic. All of his limbs are robotic, lungs, organs, the works. And they don't really focus on it. But that's the thing, is that a lot of people make jokes of I didn't ask for this, and people go sort of, wow, I barely recognized you and stuff like that. But it's like, well, yeah, there's hardly any of his original body left. He is 90% robot in Human Revolution.
Suddenly ship of Theseus.
Yeah.
Is Adam Jensen still Adam Jensen if Adam Jensen has been replaced part by part?
Quite so.
What is it to be? No, abort.
Yeah, RoboCop the stealth game. Pretty much, yeah. And yeah,
I am the law.
Yeah, you're getting down to, well, what makes a human then? Is it having a human brain still remaining? Is it just the brain that they need? It's just like, well, what if your brain gets damaged and you get some kind of thing that keeps your brain going? I don't know. Yeah.
It's just Trigger's broom.
Yes, Trigger's broom. I like that.
Yes.
I've replaced the head and the handle on this broom 24 times.
Yeah.
It's not the same broom then, is it?
Yeah. But it is... Yes, that thing.
Yeah, replacing the brain is usually where people balk. that definitely seems to be one of the cut-off points, I think. But then also we're getting dangerously into Ghost in the Shell territory here, because obviously Ghost in the Shell is asking the question of what is it to be human when your entire body, brain included, is artificial. So yeah, now we're getting into Ghost in the Shell, and at that point, I think it's time to end the show. Because Ghost in the Shell, ooh lads, yeah.
I have not seen Ghost in the Shell for 10 years.
I thought you were going to say I've not seen it at all then. I'm just like, oh boy, here we go, you know.
I haven't seen it for probably 10 years, and the problem is, I got none of the story when I watched it, if that makes sense. None of the other story. The only story I got from it was bang, bang, shoot, shoot, flip, flip, woo! So I missed all of the other stuff. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh.
The first Ghost in the Shell movie is pretty good. The live-action movie is okay.
I'm talking about the anime.
Yeah, the first Ghost in the Shell anime is good. The live-action film, if you've never seen any Ghost in the Shell and you want something accessible, the live-action one is okay. It follows bits of the first movie and other areas, but it asks the right questions, which is what's important with Ghost in the Shell. However, can anyone tell me what the TV series of Ghost in the Shell was called? It was Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. Yeah, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, which is the anime series. That is very good. It's very anime TV series-esque, but it's got a lot of interesting episodes that ask poignant questions. Like one of my favorites being like in Standalone Complex, they have these mecha robots that they sometimes cruise around in that are like mini tanks that a human can sit in, kind of thing. They're called tachikomas, and the tachikomas themselves have AI.
That's a ridiculously adorable name.
They're very adorable robots because it's anime. However, there's a point where the tachikoma are getting very intelligent, and they're starting to exhibit personality and mannerisms and behaviorisms. And in section 13, the division that they're working, which is a special ops division, they're like, okay, the tanks are developing personalities. That's no bueno. Go and reset them. Go and reset their memories. Wipe the memories. And they're like, is that immoral? They're starting to develop society, which is bad. So should we wipe their memories? Is this the beginning of independent thought? But these things are tools. They are war machines. They're not supposed to develop personalities. And again, that's a really good episode of Standalone Complex that asks really interesting questions, because it poses the idea of, the machines are becoming sentient. Better go reset them again. You know, and you're just like, oh, that's a tough call, man. You know, and yeah, it's a good TV series.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea how I don't feel about this one way or the other, therefore I feel like I cannot actually answer the question.
Yeah, exactly. But
because
that's the
this feels like a question that isn't something that you logically answer.
Well, that's the thing. It's a question with no answer because the answer is too complicated. I'm perching because I'm getting bored of being down there. Anyway.
It's more the fact that you're like, oh, my knee really hurts.
Look, my right knee hurts.
Yeah, and then you sit on chairs like this.
I perch, okay, you know, so yeah.
God. Anyway.
Yeah. But yes, this is turning into some Black Mirror stuff. Yeah, basically, I've never watched Black Mirror.
I've also not watched Black Mirror, and apparently I really should.
Yeah, my understanding is that Black Mirror, again, similar idea. It's asking questions of what it is to be human. It's asking difficult moral choices on a technological level, stuff like that. So yeah, you created life and now you're responsible for them. Yeah, pretty much.
But
yeah,
if it were a human life you created, adoption is a thing.
Sure.
But
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if you were to surmise it to purely a case of you created life tough, like you're responsible for it now.
Yeah.
Adoption's a thing.
Find someone else to be responsible. Find someone who wants to be responsible for it.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you're responsible for finding someone to then be responsible for. You're responsible until you find someone else to make it their problem. You know.
So never have children.
Yes.
Wait. Hold on.
Yeah. Right, and on that bombshell, I think it's time to wrap up because we're at 2.5 hours. The first half an hour was dribble, so yeah, I think we've done 2 hours of good content. So yeah,
of content.
Yes, 2 hours of content. So yeah,
this has been content.
I've enjoyed this conversation in English. So yeah, I will be streaming. I'll be streaming the end of Deus Ex: Human Revolution on my Twitch channel tomorrow. Which I did not copy paste. I put it in the chat earlier on. Twitch.com/Nethasem. Scroll up through the chat. I'll put it again because I'm trying to come and give me your Prime subs, everyone. Give me your Prime subs. Heck. Now I have to trim that bit out. There we go. Yeah, if you want to see the end of Deus Ex: Human Revolution, I'll be streaming it tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK time. Past everything else, we have waffled long enough. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back next Saturday. Next Saturday, are we going to rebuild the stream PC? We're threatening to do that. Plan. Yeah. Next Saturday, we're gonna set up the stream PC again. We're gonna take it to bits, clean it out, put it back together again, and set up Windows and OBS on it. So if you want to see how the stream PC is set up, we're literally going to do it all again next week. Because this computer hasn't had a Windows reinstall in a very long time,
and it used to be a hardware backing up computer.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff on this computer that does not need to be there anymore, and I kind of just want a clean slate. So yeah, if you want to see how to set up the Adamant IT YouTube and recording and streaming rig, we're doing that next Saturday.
And that'll be after the release of Windows 11.
Yeah, I ain't running Windows 11 on this though. Absolutely not. Well, it can't anyway because it's 4th gen Intel.
It could do. There are ways. There are means.
You're starting to sound like Postal.
There are means. We have ways of making you talk.
Oof.
Wait, hold on.
See you next Saturday, everyone.
Also, I'm nothing like Postal. None of my hardware gives up the smoke once a week.
We love you, Postal, by the way.
Sometimes.
Bye.
Goodbye. Toodaloo. Ta-ra. Au revoir.